So why should we care if non-citizens vote?
Well, for every non-citizen that casts a vote in the United States, it cancels the vote of a US citizen. And I think that's the most significant reason. How can you say your vote matters when the federal government is willing to just somewhat just look away from the fact that there may be non-citizens able to vote in the United States. And again, why this is an immigration issue, why myself and the Immigration Accountability Project think this is an important issue is because the non-citizen population in the United States is driven by immigration policy here in the US. And you're seeing that under the current Biden-Harris administration. We've had a massive influx of non-citizens enter the country due to the administration's border policies. And those are all individuals who could register to vote. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they will vote, but you have all of these individuals there. They have access to the documents that are needed in 19 states. An illegal alien can receive a driver's license. Any illegal alien that has received parole through the Biden-Harris administration is eligible to receive an employment authorization document. The moment you get an employment authorization document or a work permit, you can then obtain a social security card. You get a social security card and a driver's license, you can do a lot of things here in the United States, including register to vote. And if you look at the National Voter Registration Form, it simply includes just a box to attest to the fact that you are a US citizen. Some of these individuals, that English is probably not their first language. And if they've got some of these NGOs or other individuals that are giving them these forms and telling them just to fill it out, it becomes very easy for them to register to vote. If you have a system that easily allows these individuals to register to a vote, then you raise the risk that they actually will vote. And again, every single time a non-citizen vote, it cancels out the vote of a US citizen.
How are non-citizens endangered by illegal votes?
Any non-citizen that casts a vote risks deportation. They can also be charged with a criminal act. So there are pretty serious consequences to voting. And I would advise, if you're in the country and not a US citizen, that you don't try to vote, because it may end up getting prosecuted at some point in time. And we do have some examples of non-citizens actually voting in federal elections. You've seen some reporting throughout some of the news outlets. The Washington Times has done a piece. Fox News has showed some stories and interviewed some foreign citizens that have voted, who are not US citizens, who have voted in US federal elections. So it has been an issue in the past. Is it widespread? It's probably not widespread at this point yet. But again, by allowing non-citizens to register to vote, or to keep the bar low to allows non-citizens the possibility to register to vote, it creates additional risk that they will actually vote in these elections. And unfortunately, we have some individuals that are out there that want them to vote. And what they're going to do is they're not going to tell them what the penalties might be if they do vote, but they should know, especially people who are green card holders or ever hope to become a green card holder. Because if you're a green card holder, or if you hope of becoming a green card holder, you can lose your shot at US citizenship by voting in a US federal election.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Chris, because we've been plagued with the motor voter roll law here in California. You go to apply and you get your driver's license, it automatically default puts you in and allows you to vote in California elections. Now, normally we've had a bit back and forth up in Sacramento with some of the cities allowing non-citizens to hold office, which of course we don't have a legal argument for statewide issues, but the federal ones is very clear. It's written in the Constitution. So I'm glad you bring it to the attention, because even though with my series of past elections that I've run in, I've worked with law enforcement, put up boards and notifications of those illegals or non-citizens. If they were to vote, they would be deported in the federal election. So there's that element. There's a lot of mis and disinformation, and just not knowledge at all. So I'm glad you're bringing it up for those that are listening in that has a family member that's currently residing in the state that's not an official US citizen. That is the risk you run if they vote.